Beautiful people. Um, Today I want to talk about a little bit more about the Daybells, the Coxes, and cults. And I'm hoping you can hear me. 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 Oh, that's weird. I'm hoping you can hear me. Oh, that's Can someone let me know if I'm visible or if they can hear me? Oh, you can. You're waiting. Is it on? OWE Ranger? Owl Range? Owie He Ranger? Can you write again? Is it on? Because I'm here. Okay. Oh, great. Dylan. Okay, great. Great. How are you guys? Hey, listen, let's talk a little bit about what's really beyond where we've been. At first, and since ever we found out that the children were missing, when we found out that Charles had been murdered, and I will always say that Charles was murdered. I will never say that he was shot in self-defense or anything. Even Charles Vallow was murdered. So even though he was murdered, then the kids were obviously murdered shortly after. I mean, if he was murdered July 11th and they were murdered by the end of September, by the third week of September, then we're really saying a very short period of time that they could murder 3 people. And then, of course, let's add Brandon Boudreaux in. He comes home from the gym. He's about to drive in his driveway and he gets shot at. It pulverizes his driver's window. So he speeds off to get away from the shots. So now we got number 4. Even though he survived, he's so lucky. And then we got Tammy Daybell, October 19th. Wakes up in the morning. Chad wakes up in the morning and declares that she had died in her sleep. So we got 4 people from July 11th to October 19th. That's only a quarter of a year. That's 1/4 of a year. And we know for a fact that they killed 4 people. Charles, Tylee, JJ, and Tammy Daybell. Attempted at Brandon, that would have been number 5. So let's talk about that. What I guess what would cause them to kill like that? What would be their ambition? What would be their motive to kill 4 people, almost 5, in a 3-month time period? I'm going to say that their ambition was exactly what I've always thought. They really think, to some degree, that they're gods and goddesses and that they have this higher ability to rid themselves of people that they don't want or don't need around them. So they justify it to themselves. Number 2, every situation they did was extremely personally lucrative for them. They thought Charles was going to be lucrative. They got rid of him first. They thought they were going to have a quick and easy $1 million. And maybe if they did get that $1 million, there's a possibility that they might have been somewhat satisfied with that and didn't go on to kill the others. But they didn't get that $1 million. And then number two, what happened is when they did whatever they did to Tylee and JJ, Lori was collecting from Nate Eaton from East Idaho News account. He said she was collecting round figure $6,000 a month tax-free for JJ and Tylee, for JJ's disability, for Tylee's, there was an estate left from Joe Ryan. And plus, when you have a parent die and you're under a certain age, and if you're in school, for instance, if you're 21 and you have a parent die, but you're in school, the government will kick in some money to you to help support you until you're out of school. So it doesn't matter if it's under high school or college, the government does kick in some money. So between all of her entitlements and insurances and whatever else not, she was getting a hefty $6,000, if not more, a month, tax-free. So this is the deal. That's what they got from Tylee and JJ's death and more, because Tylee was entitled to some monies from Joe Ryan's estate, her dad's estate. So I have no clue what that amount of money is, but I know that at a certain age, she would have been able to collect some type of money from what he had left her. So they were getting that money. They did not get Charles's money. Now, number two, on October 2nd, they want to grab some more money, because $6,000 a month to them is like, $100,000 for us. I mean, $6,000. I'd be very happy on a $6,000 income a month, but obviously, when you're a goddess and a god, you can't live on $6,000 a month, right? Or at least that's what the Daybells taught me. So now they go October 2nd, and as I just described to everybody here, I can see you right now. There's Dylan and Tam and Birdman and Pixie Sticks. What a cute name. Dylan and Wake Up. That's what I got to do, is wake up. But anyway, so come October 2nd, they took that hit on Brandon Boudreaux, and whoever it was missed. It missed him by 2 inches from all accounts that I have read. So Melanie missed out on $1 million there, because he had $1 million life policy out on him. But, I've never heard expressly if that $1 million was Melanie as the beneficiary. Who knows? But either way, it doesn't matter whether it was a monetary reason. They were trying to rid of him because there was a custody battle, and guess who wanted custody of her kids? Melanie. After she hadn't shown up to court hearings, after she hadn't responded to court or attorney communication, she wanted her kids. She's a no-show, verbally and physically. She's a no-show, but all of a sudden she wants her kids. I think it was about the money, because I think Brandon might have had to pay her a pretty hefty child support or something. And I'm not sure what Arizona has for alimony or anything like that. So October 2nd comes. I think it was like 7 to 9 days later, Tammy's coming home. Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife's coming home from some type of church gathering, and she's unpacking things from the back of her car, and she gets shot at, but she doesn't think it's a real gun. She thinks it's a fake gun. And I've never seen a paintball gun, firsthand. Like, I've seen them from far away, but I've never been up close to a paintball. But that's what I think she had expressed in her Facebook post, in that she thought it was a paintball gun. And we all know that, no, it wasn't a paintball gun. It was the same situation that had just happened on October 2nd, happening from Arizona to Rexburg, because Brandon's was in Arizona. Now this is in Rexburg. What happens then is, obviously, as we all know, the very sad day that she woke up and she said, or she didn't say anything, because Chad said that she had died in her sleep, that she had gone to bed that night coughing and didn't feel quite right. And she woke up, or she did not wake up. And that's how we explained it. And that's it. That's the end of the story, because at this point, they got $6,000 a month, round figure, coming in from JJ and Tylee. They're not supporting them anymore, so those resources aren't going to the kids, but they're collecting them, because the FBI and the Hawaiian police made sure we knew about that way back when, that she was collecting their entitlements. Number two, Chad collected $430,000 from Tammy's death. And from what I've read, again, from all of accounts, he had upped that amount. It must have been a lower amount, obviously, and he had upped it in the recent past. So basically, this is where we're at, and this is where we as a community needs to really make some headway. We understand that the family is heartsick. We understand that they're going to be probably very immobilized for some time. This isn't just a death, but it's trauma. It's serious, serious trauma to a person. It wasn't a natural occurrence. And when people face these kinds of traumas, it takes longer, and it takes many more supports than the typical death. So what we need to do is basically talk to the cult people. And who are these cult people? Are they the people that buy Chad's books? Are they the people that have little secret meetings outside of their church sessions or their temple sessions? I'm not sure what LDS calls their masses, but do they have secret little meetings outside of their church and temple? Do they talk about just exactly what Melanie Gibbs had relayed to us? Well, what were her words? She said, you can't believe in multiple probations. If you believe in multiple probations, then it entitles you to have things that you really can't have. That was the impact that I got from her. That's how she impacted me, is it's no good. And multiple probations somehow make you think that you can have many wives because you're just like a revolving door. You might as well stand in one of those big skyscrapers with the revolving doors. Wife number one, wife number two, wife number three. You know, I mean, that's fast forward. But somehow our community, meaning YouTube and what other communities are connected to us, need to reach out to these cult members. This is the most important step, in my opinion, at this point. There's no other important step. The police and the FBI and all the people are in the right positions, and they're doing their job. And they will continue to do their job. They don't really need our help in this. But where they do need our help is when it comes to the cult members. Because, see, these people, like Melanie Gibbs, she's a prime example, the perfect example. They might not think that they're in a cult. They might not think that they're fearful. As I said in a previous video, how my granddaughter related to me is cults use fear. And it can be very subtle. It doesn't have to be overt fear. It doesn't have to be like Lori did to Charles. She said, I'm going to kill you if you get in my way. That's a message. And I can see how he could be fearful because he received an overt message of that his safety was being compromised. But let's put it this way. Let's say that they just work on the people very subtly. They go over for tea or coffee. They bring maybe an elderly person a box of cookies and, you know, a cup of coffee or something and stay 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes or an hour, whatever it might be, they might be saying things to these elderly people, just like Lori said to Charles. Very, very scared things. You know, they might be subtly trying to, as we say in marketing terms, is corner the market. They don't want the church-going, faith-based people to feel safe. That's not a cult. A cult is to come in and ransack everything. They ramrod you. They just destroy all your safety mechanisms. We all have a constitution within ourselves, and we live with that every day. Our constitution provides us the way to feel safe. But when you're dealing with cult people, masterminds, authors, fortune tellers, what other kind of words that they describe Chad as? I can't remember. Visionaries. Oh my golly. I can only vision. You see my river right there? It goes out to the ocean. I'm a visionary. I'd like to envision Chad somewhere near me. Someplace wet. But anyways, that's rude. So let's take this. Let's take this as a warning sign that we need to help people in our society who, as someone has mentioned in this chat, that has drank the Kool-Aid. Yes, Jimmy Jones Kool-Aid. They've drank it, just a little sip maybe. Just enough to make them feel woozy. They're not dead, but they're woozy. And that's the subtle part of the cult. That's the part that, yes, it's very, very unbelievable how they can subtly make you feel fearful, uneasy, unsure. And they can also make you do things that morally are way out of your range, that you would never do, that you would never think of. All those thoughts that we have every day and then we got to talk ourselves out of, we have those thoughts and we go, oh, well, that's kind of crossing the line, pull myself back. They let those go, just like a greyhound dog. They open that gate and they let those, dogs fly because they like that. They like it when they got you uneasy and fearful. So let's work on people. This is what I want to say, beautiful people. They're ugly. We know they're ugly. These cult masterminds are ugly. And that's all they do. We've just had the best explanation. It's the best and the worst. It's the best because we feel it close to us right now. It's the worst because Charles Vallow, JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell are no longer with us. But guess what? I don't know how many more are gone. How many more disenfranchised people that did Chad get? I don't think this was a dress rehearsal. I think he had his dress rehearsals a long time ago. I think he had perfected murder. And he knew how to make it. To have that many murders in a quarter of a year. You know what I mean? Think about it, guys. What can you get done in a quarter of a year? I mean, human beings pretty much lag, but not Charles, not for Charles, not for JJ, not for Tylee, and not for Tammy. This guy was on supercharge, and he knew how to get these people so screwed up that they would help him with murder. You know how he looks right now. You've seen his picture. You've seen how he looks in that gray and white, bold striped prison suit. You know what it looks like. You know his forlorn look. He's not forlorn like we are. We're forlorn because we're empty. We can't believe every one of our fears came true, that everyone's dead, that the children are dead. He's forlorn because he's trying to mastermind how the heck he's gonna create something. This is gonna be another circus. Just like Summer did. She had that circus going with her mother Janice and Melanie. You know, Melanie was doing her media blitz and Janice and Summer were doing their media blitz. That wasn't unplanned. That was highly put together. It was put together because they know that they wanted to twist us. And I'm going to say, if I had a twisted meter, a meter that could tell when the country got twisted, they did a little bit of a job. I'm gonna give them credit. They had some people. I saw people changing their ideas about really what could have happened to the children. They were working us. They were massaging us to death by their media blitz, by going on Dateline, by going on 48 Hours, by going on East Idaho News and Fox News and whatever news programs that they were on in Arizona. They were massaging the hell out of us because guess what? My opinion, they knew those children were dead. They talked about them in some instances in past tense, and they didn't want those children to be found. So if they could implant that the mother had hidden them away to keep them safe from Big Bad Kay Woodcock, their loving grandmother, then that would work for some time. Oh my God, when they ever heard that they were over there, I can just see their faces right now with the excavators and the other heavy equipment the other day, digging up Chad's backyard. Can you imagine what they were doing? You bet your bottom dollar they weren't saying dig, 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 Johnny the steam shovel. They were saying, I hope those machines break down. I hope this gets delayed. I hope that Chad really didn't put the bodies there. But I am so excited that we can start right now working on disseminating, extinguishing what remains of the cult. Can someone throw a number out there? I can see the chat. Can someone throw a number out there? How many people you think belong to this particular cult? Yeah, I'd like to know if you guys think it's a small number, a medium number, an astronomical number. How many people? You think 7? 7? Less than 50? 50? 20? I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared because I would agree with everything, all those numbers you just put there, but I'm scared that these doomsday preppers conventions that they go to, that they've been massaging them. I'm not saying that the doomsday people are cult, because I know that there's a dividing line, but I'm saying that I think that the whole reason that this Jim Moore, however you say his last name, he was a cop in Arizona. And from what I understand, he didn't have a good reputation within the police department. And they were going to let him go, but he took leave. And now I could be wrong, but that's the gist I got it. He's retired, but I heard or I read somewhere he had gone before the police investigation board a couple of times, and right before he left, he was up to go before the conduct board again. So he hasn't been squeaky clean, but I'm not saying he's a cult member by any means. I'm just saying they used him as their like idol, or they used him in the police when Lori went to the police department to ask for them to get the pocketbook back from Charles. Well, poor Charles, he needed his checkbook, he needed his car keys, he needed probably all the credit cards that were under his name that she's going about town. Can you imagine 35,000? Has anyone ever had $35,000 stolen from them in one whack? I've never had 35,000 stolen. Yeah, Jason Moe. Yeah. Good. Then I'm glad. I hope he's a good guy. I hope Jason Moe, but they kind of used him in that police, and they were throwing his name around. So they wanted to look like goody two-shoes, like, hey, I'm a cop lover, and one of our best friends is a cop, and blah, blah, blah. You know, they were using that whole let me in the door in a better light. We want to make friends before Charles gets here with my pocketbook. So that's exactly where I'm at right now. And I'd like to hear, does anyone here, because I can see the chat, as I said before, can someone tell me if they have a way? See, they did a media blitz. They got together, Melanie, Summer, and who's that? The mother, Janice. Those three got together and said, hey, wait, let's get together with our respective attorneys and let's form a story. So we're pretty much saying so that America can keep hearing the same thing over and over. Because you know what they say, if you hear something 3 times, it becomes pretty much embedded in your brain. And they had their media blitz going. So let us do some type of media blitz. Does anyone know if there's a way to contact, is there a way to get into the LDS not being a member? Does anyone know that? Because I hear you can't even go to their church if you're not an LDS member. See, my church, anyone can walk in anytime. You don't have to be a member of the church. Does anyone know? What do they do? Greet you at the door and ask you if you're a member or not? So that's my opinion. My opinion is we got to reach out to these cult members. And if anyone's on here, or if anyone comes on to this particular YouTube chat right now, listen to me. That sign in front of this camera says faith over fear for a reason. Someone didn't make that slogan because it means nothing. They made it because it means something extremely important. Never in a day do you give up whatever faith you have, whatever constitution you have, and replace it with fear. And, I don't want to go into history, but remember World War II? That always comes to my mind. Every time I think of when a group of people, and it ended up being 6 million people, believed in the fear and passively walked around. Well, they're not taking people to trains. They're not just bringing them all in a file to a train and transporting them. They're subtly doing it. This is house calls. This is going to small groups, or like I said before, with this whole preparing the people. Yes, Melanie Pulowski is the bottom of the barrel, Donna, without question. Oh, so anyone can go to the LDS church. So you can just walk in, and I wonder if just think of this, considering what we know now. And I think anyone will agree that we can't discount the fact that, yes, Charles was killed by them and that Tammy was killed by them. We just can't discount that at all. 4 people dead, 2 children. Couldn't someone go to the LDS church, ask for whoever it is? I don't know what they call the person. Is it a priest? Is it a minister? Is it a bishop? I really have no clue. So I was hoping that someone that has access to get to that person, maybe we can start talking to that person to have those Sunday groups, the ones you have your service on Sunday, and then you go downstairs and you have coffee and all the old ladies like me bring in treats. Yeah. In those times is when the times that they need to be doing the education, not to believe in, like Melanie Gibbs says. I'm just taking her for fact, because she said stay away from multiple probations. You won't get in trouble. Stay away from, that the world is ending. You won't get into trouble. She went on and on. She made some declarations that I think, obviously, I really think are the truth. And I think all of these ideas and teachings, as she said, is what got everybody in trouble. But I'm not going to say that Lori was innocent. Like Chad didn't manipulate her to kill. I think she's had it in her. I did a video last night. Was she born a killer? Is how I started it. Was Chad born a killer? I think there's people, and everyone can disagree with me because that's their right. But I believe there are certain people that are born and that can kill. And not killed because they're in the army, or not killed because they're in the line of duty of any sort, or not killed because they're trying to protect their family. Just they can kill. And I don't know what's missing in them, but there's something missing. Oh, I don't want to blame LDS, if that's what you're taking me as. If someone, there's not to blame, it's to educate. There's a big difference than blaming. It's because that's the same niche, however they say it, that they worked on. They didn't come to me. They didn't come to my church and work on me because I'm not there. I'm saying target the LDS church because that's where Lori and Chad had access to. It's not to say that LDS people are cult members. It's the opposite. It's saying they are not cult members, and we got to keep it that way. And if there are some that are walking towards that, we got to direct them differently. Yes, you do have wolves in all churches. I heard, I've read a lot of things online about the churches, but have you ever heard of this? I mean, okay, so there are wolves. Have you ever heard of people at a church that are extremely religious, zealots, or, they just can't get enough church or religion or spirituality or scripture or whatever? Yes, there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. I met a lot of them. Do you want me to send you their names and addresses? They're the worst people you want to meet in your life. Yes, Lori and Chad are right there. You wouldn't. I think of this often. When I was in my late 20s, I had two LDS people, young, and of course they all looked alike to me because they had those suits on. So when I first saw Chad's picture when he was young, I said, oh my God, it looks just like the guy that came to my house. There was two of them, and they were trying to, get me to come to their church. You have been married to some of them? Yeah. So that's my thing today is the police are doing what they are doing, but we need to work on trying to exterminate. That's a good word for it. I was supposed to say extinguish the cult groups in that particular area. I really think this is the time that community, that great, and I'm talking right down to Salt Lake City. I mean, Rexburg and Salt Lake, what is it, like less than 3 hours apart? That's not I've been through there. It's pretty desolate in some of those areas. It's not like it's high population once you leave the little areas. So no, this would be their time to start a new charge about steering their members back to, equilibrium. I mean, some of these people, Melanie made point. There's a lot of Melanie Gibb. I'm gonna call her Gibb because I don't want you to ever think I'm talking about the other one. Gibb said that There's a lot of them that have that thinking. It's not just Chad and Lori. A lot of them think of that. They think of the zombies and that, you know, people have greater purposes beyond the veil and all. I've never heard of that. In my religion, that doesn't exist. That doesn't, like no one wants to kill me because I got a better purpose. And there's a little opening. You know, I've never heard of such a thing until all of this came up. But of course, I'm not that religion, and I've never read those books. Yes. Okay. Rebel Rose, you're saying that isn't? Yes. But Melanie was believing in all, Gib was believing in all of that. She said she had been sucked in. She was starting to believe. So that's when this is the seduction. This is what we're talking about. She got seduced. She got seduced by their teachings. That's why when they said things like he's a zombie, she's a zombie, or he's dark, she went along with it. Okay, so it's not the religion that it's Chad. It's Chad and his group, but that's why I call them a cult. Cult does bad things. I don't know what CULT stands for. Like, is it an acronym for something? Is it? I really have no idea, but yeah, brainwashing Melanie, Gib. Yeah, it's a big cult, meaning not big as far as numbers of people. That I don't know, and that's what I'm fishing for. I want to find out if we can get a handle of how many people are involved in this Chad Daybell philosophy, evil philosophy. But that's what I'm getting at, is we need to find that out, and we need to, extinguish that kind of thinking. These people, like you saw, tell me, if you were to explain Gib in one word, what would it be? In one word. If you were to put your opinion down on this chat, something that describes Gib, tell me what it is. They got way into The Walking Dead. Weak. Amazing. Oh, sucker. Gullible, yeah. Green. Envious, foolish. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, there's an awesome side of her. A follow. Yeah. Oh my God. I could do it. I could follow them, but I would just be following them to be polite, and then I'd walk away and run. Once they couldn't see me, I'd be running. A cult means to gather cult or a cult means to gather a following for something supernatural, means to keep it quiet, to keep fit secret. A cult is together a following for supernatural or magic, and to keep it. Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. I mean, how can Pulowski say they're not a cult? How many times I've heard her say she's a cult? She isn't a cult, but she acted like she didn't even know what a cult was. Yeah, that's exactly what they were. I doubt anyone in that cult are going to come out at this time. They love to lurk. And what does that, I know what lurk means, but what do you mean? That they're going to stay in the foreground and just kind of wait out the storm? Wait until everything's calmed down? Thank you, Catherine. Catherine, did I meet you on MRB's website the other, her YouTube page, MRB? Because I was on there the other night. I thought did I meet you from there or did I meet you from here? I've met like 1,000 people and I can't keep them all straight. Catherine, play acting. They wouldn't want me. My name says it all. Rebel Rose. Yeah, same. Hey, Rebel. Me too. I might be Grammy, and I am a Grammy. My oldest just turned 18 a month ago. Well, 6 weeks ago. Oh, and that's a heartache. Oh, because when Tylee was 16, my granddaughter was 16. And now Tylee would be turning 18 in September 24. So that's been a heartache because every day I'd see my granddaughter and I'd be going, Kay can't see her well, it was a step granddaughter, but she couldn't see her granddaughter, and Annie Cushion couldn't see her niece. And most importantly, Kobe Ryan couldn't see his sister. And they were blood. There's so many different people coming together, but Kobe and Tylee, it was his sister, his only sister. Big brothers love their sisters. Okay, now I'm going to go back. Play acting. Melanie P is weak. Yes, Rebel. Melanie seems like she still wants to help. Yes, Patty and Pink. Yes, there's no question in my mind that she'd jump off the Brooklyn Bridge for her aunt. There is no question in my mind. There is no grave too deep to dig that Melanie Pulowski wouldn't dig for her aunt. Yes, the world doesn't end in July, Donald. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Rebel Rose, I've always been a rebel. Always. When I was a teenager, I'll just give you like my first real proactive thing. I was at this big party. I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s. And we used to have these gigantic parties out in the woods. And then once in a while, we could hire on a local band that frequented bars and pubs. And they would come out in the woods and play. Well, we were having this. So we're out in the woods, all these cops, because in those days, that's what they had billy clubs. They came in and they were bashing all my friends. And of course, they never bashed a girl then. They were very sexist. But they were bashing people just sporadically for no reason. You were standing there listening to the band and they came in with their billy clubs and they started bashing us. Well, they didn't realize that I grew up in a town with a law school. All the kids around me were first-year law students. So they got in big trouble because I went and got an attorney and I made sure that we got represented. He ended up being a Supreme Court judge. He wasn't then, but the same attorney that I hired on for our group. So we called it the melee. And we hired and we won against the cops because they should have never done that. But those things went on all the time back then. Today, they couldn't do that. They couldn't go in with billy clubs for no reason and start whacking people. What do you mean Chad has been trying to mess Lori up since her arrest? Oh, that's how you came? You didn't come from MRB, Catherine? I'm not supposed to mention names. This is what I've been told, is we're not supposed to mention other creators for some reason. I'm not sure if that's true. So that's why I'm spelling her channel name. But anyways, he wouldn't bail her out. Lori game player. Yeah, big time. Oh, we can see it. I mean, I don't know how many women I got here, but we can see it. We're all women, and we can see what kind of game plan she did. She was one of those attractive women that used it. She wasn't one that knew that she was attractive and was humble and modest about it. She was one that was her ticket to ride. That was her ticket to paradise, because she got a lot of money in paradise from these guys. Oh, yeah, there it is. MIB. Yeah. Yeah, I was there. Catherine's a rebel also. Yeah, that's what Melanie Gibbs said, adulterers and deceivers. That's why who was trying to mess her up? Why Chad was trying to mess her up? Oh, thank you, Dylan. I didn't know that, Dylan. You've been with me for about 2 years, Dylan. I made a Dylan Flynn one. I made a couple of videos. I have them on private because they have identifiers, like, where I was, you could see license plates of people and that kind of stuff. So I have them under a private, but you've been with me for a long time, because I know that when I made Nicole Kessinger videos, you came on, Dylan. So that's probably when you knew me, or maybe not, because I stay quiet. When I go on these sites, I'm not like a real talk. Isn't that funny? I talk here, but I don't. When I go on those sites, I read. I kind of like absorb everything everyone's saying. And then if I get like some really great idea, I guess or I think it's a great idea, I'll put it in. But typically I just sit back and read all the chat that's going on. So I've been on a lot of those sites. I've been involved since the Chris Watts. I'll tell you why I'm in Florida. So 50, I don't know how many people are here, 56 it says. 56 people know why I'm here. I'm from up north, but I came down 3 years ago and I've never left. I literally never left. I flew down with my granddaughter and we rented a car, and I had to go to Tallahassee because back in 1984, I'm not sure if I got that number right, but that's close. Somewhere between 80, yeah, it must have been around 83, 84, 85. My girlfriend was living down in Naples. She was a beautiful blues singer. Like, I mean, beautiful blues. She could just, when we were teenagers, she'd sleep at my house and I'd make her. I was really mean to her. I'd say, Brenda, you can't go to sleep unless you sing to me. So she would sing me every blues song in the world. And she just had that beautiful, raspy voice. So, yeah, I love the blues. And so she lived down in Naples. She was a bartender / waitress / singer in bars in the Naples. And if you guys know that area, I guess it's quite wealthy. And she was making good money being a very young girl. She was renting in an apartment. This is all involving with murder. So that's why I'm saying this. I wouldn't say this, but this is what got me here. About 12, 15 years ago, her mother called me up and she said to me that she was worried that when she passes away, no one will come back down to Tallahassee to testify for Brenda. Brenda was killed at 26 years old from a guy that they had invited over that day that was helping her roommate move furniture. He had a truck, so they invited this guy over. And when he came over, they were partying. It was all girls that lived there. And then, of course, other people came. So there was like, let's say 8 people. But Brenda went to bed early. In the middle of the night, the roommates smelled smoke. My girlfriend, my best friend from teenagehood, was found strangled to death. And her bed was on fire. So every 5 to 10 years, and it's usually 5, Florida just changed it to 7 though. So it used to be every 5 I'd have to come to testify to keep the prisoner in, the man that murdered her. And now Florida, I got a letter in the mail because I'm on their mailing list being a victim. I'm with the Victims Advocate Office up in Tallahassee because I'm the only one. So 12, 15 years ago, her mother called me and said, I'll go down with you, but this is the last time I can physically go to Tallahassee. I'll never be able, her health was failing. Brenda didn't have sisters or brothers. Brenda's father had passed on about 20 years prior. So that's what I do. Every time I get the letter in the mail, I go and testify. The same person that identified Ted Bundy's bite marks on the girls that he bit in the college here in Florida is the same forensic doctor who actually tested my girlfriend Brenda had bit her assailant. And the same doctor went to court and said there's no way he can get out of it because he tried to get out of it saying it had to have been someone after him, that he had already gone home. But the roommate had tucked him in on the couch, meaning when they stopped partying, whatever time that was, let's say it was midnight, 1 o'clock, whatever, because her body was found ablaze around 2 p.m. or so. 2 a.m., sorry. Yeah. But whenever they stopped partying, he was too inebriated to drive and asked if he could stay. So the roommate had given him blankets and a pillow and whatnot. I have all the paperwork. I have all what happened that night, who was there. I have the forensic identification of her and everything. I know. She was beautiful. She was beautiful. And she had a beautiful voice. And she had a beautiful inside as well. Harmless. A little self-destructive with herself, but that was as a teen. I think I'm hoping she outgrew it, but because I didn't see her for like 2 or 3 years before she got killed. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. But anyways, that's why I'm in Florida. I've never left. Do you believe that? I came down with a suitcase, a rented car, and I've never left since I've been here. Are you from Maine, Graham? I've lived there. Yeah, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts. I've lived in all 3. I'm trying to think of what other northern state I would have. And I've lived in California. Carpinteria, if you know. Does anyone know the Santa Barbara area? I lived south about 10 miles. So it's about an hour and 10 minutes from LA, north of LA, and about 10 minutes south of, Carpinteria. I lived there. Oh, nice. I love Louisiana. I've been through there so many times. So that's why I'm here, because a lot of people, I'm saying that because a lot of people ask me, are you from Florida? Well, I wasn't, but I am now. And thank you, Brenda. You know, I mean, Brenda brought me. Now I understand why she lived here. I never understood why she lived here. Now I understand. But anyway, so what do you guys think? What do we need to, yeah, carpentry in California. Yeah, they named it after, you're right. They named carpinteria after craftsmen at that time, carpenters. Yes. It's 10 minutes. Do you remember a year and a half ago, they had a rock slide in where Oprah lived in Montecito? It's the town over from Montecito. Yeah. And the voice mic will not let me say carpinteria correctly. What a bummer. I wonder why. It won't let me say it, or you say it? Oh, you're saying it. Oh, I see. You're talking into a mic and it's typing for you. Aren't you lucky? The problem with me is it types bad words. When I speak into it, because I mess up words and I have such a heavy accent, a lot of bad words come out. Not that I don't say them on my own anyways, but okay, yes, we're back to the Pulowski. She is very corrupt. And thank you for that. She is extremely. And yes, very. What do? We can't do anything about her. I'm hoping the police. I mean, remember Dean Morrison on Dateline? Remember what he said? He goes just like this. And she looked at me with those big eyes, meaning she's trying to sap his intelligence out of him. Like she was trying to manipulate him. And she looked at me with those big eyes. You know, she's trying to play the puppy dog. There's no puppy dog in Melanie. And I think the whole country will, ooh, it looks like my thing. Can you hear me? She's a portal less. The whole country would go. I see that my thing keeps changing. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Oh, I love Keith Morrison too. If she has that baby, I think this whole country will go up in an uproar. They'll want it taken away from her. She can't be a mother. She needs deprogramming. She looks like a Stepford wife. She looks just like the movie. She does a better job than the people that played the movie. I can't even remember who were the original people in Stepford Wives. But yeah, she looks like she's not home. Yeah, like nobody's home, and she keeps saying truth. Yes, once the truth. Oh no, Lori would never harm her child or children. The truth will tell you. Her eyes are dark and blank. It's when they're like that, it's almost like they have been drilled out. It's like their whole soul has been taken from them. Yes, she's right out of the Cox mold. You're 100%, Kevin. 100%. Yes, they're all like that. But, you know, they do get little flickers. They do. Their eyes go a little, you know, they dance a little bit. And when they dance, it's usually because they're lying. And they think they can trick you. So they have a little bit of a dancing eye. It's like deadness, then a little dance. Yeah. Yeah, she does look possessed. There's no question in my mind. She is possessed. She is. She's possessed with bad teachings. Gibbs said that. Gibbs said that his teachings were evil. Didn't she call him evil? didn't she say the last conversation she had with Lori and Chad, she called them evil? So I believe it. I believe it 100% that Melanie has a lot more. When she raises her hand in the real court, I'm not going to say at the preliminary hearing because they'll probably school her to minimize what she knows. They don't want the real nitty gritty to come out so early. But when she's at the regular trial, the murder trials, when she raises her hand, she's going to have a lot of things to say. No, the twinkle is only when she lies. She gets full of herself. There is. No, you're right. With her, Rebel Rose, with her, I'll have to look at her again. But every once in a, yeah. Now I'm second guessing myself. I think you're right. I think even when she lies, there's no twinkle. Just once, she doesn't smile. She doesn't gesture other than those hands. And when I looked at her hands, I kept thinking of Chris Watts. I couldn't get him out of my mind, because I'm thinking, did she do something with those hands with those children? I'm going to tell you guys honestly, I do not want to find out how they died. Like, I don't want to know the details. I know they are dead. I'm going to trust the police and the family and everybody, but I really don't want to hear the details. I really think it's going to be way too much to hear what they might have did. Yeah, that's why. Nisi, Eden, that's why. Because I think the same. And I just can't hear it again, just because of Chris Watts, because of when he admitted to all what he did, and whether the truth's a lie, we'll never get truth out of them. That's the other thing. You never get the truth. Yeah, she did. That's what I heard, Nisi. She had a fighting spirit. And also she had a parental spirit as well. That she spent a lot of time parenting her mother. I've seen that time in and time out, where the child parents the parent. So yeah, she was parentified. Yeah. How could they brag? Okay, guys, give me this. How could they brag about Chad? How could they brag about Lori being a magnificent mother? Does anyone know? This is a question I've had. Does anyone know why the courts ordered for her to have cameras in her house when she was going through custody battle with Joe Ryan to get Tylee? From what I understand, the court had a sign that she needed to have cameras in the common areas, that Joe had won on that count, that he got them in. Does anyone know why? Who's in denial? Pansy, who's in denial? I'm seeing that you're saying somebody's in denial. Are you talking maybe the family? No, the family had a media campaign going on. They had devised, they knew everything. Oh, I see. They knew everything. And they put on a media blitz. It's just like writing a press release And instead of sending it out, you just give it to all your family members and they recite the same thing over and over and over. I had to hear that word truth so many times. It was ridiculous. Hi, Tina. I'm so glad I can see, because normally I can't see these chat messages. This is the first time ever that I've ever been able to see a chat message. Yeah, that's a good question, Donna, Donald. I do they all believe in, what is that, the 140,000 second coming of Jesus? Is that what the end times are? Oh, same thing. 144,000 and end of times. Is that expressly for LDS, or is that in other religions as well? Or does someone know? Christ returns. Not sure. Christ returns. Yeah. So I guess I should stay right on the cult talk, because anyone have any suggestions now that we've kind of gone around the world a little bit? I know that they have 16 million LDS members worldwide, and it's over that. It's closer to 17. It's closer to 17 million worldwide. But we know the cult isn't that big. But does anyone have an idea of how to penetrate them? See, typically they're trying to penetrate us, but we want to reverse it on them. We want to penetrate the cult members and educate them and steer them away from that whole fear-based ideology. Alex, I know. Kevin, I don't know about Alex's wife. Zelena, the rock specialist, the geologist or something that she knew, and she's had a life filled with drugs and manufacturing drugs. Zulema. Yeah, she's a chemist, of the second kind. Yeah, I don't think so either, Rebel Rose. I don't think he died of natural causes myself. I think that they poisoned him with something natural. Yeah. And even if he did die himself, I wish he had waited a little bit, but I say I'm cruel, but I'm glad he's not here. I'm glad he's not. He would have killed more people by now. See, that was December 19th when he died, or 12th. So we'd be, yeah, oh no, a half a year with him around. Oh, we'd be in serious trouble. Think of how many Chad might have killed. I'm not kidding you. I think this wasn't his first dress rehearsal. I think he's done this before. To kill 4 people in 3 months? That's more than the serial killers. The serial killers have cool-off periods. They'll kill someone, cool off for a while, kill someone else. But him, 4 people that we know of in 4 months, 3 months. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. They were saying that. I was on another channel listening last night, and they were saying that. Why did she turn to, when the police asked her, when Charles was laying dead on the floor, she was out leaning on the car, and the policeman asked her weight. Or he said, "Is your weight still 120? And are you 5'6"? And she said, yes. Then she swung her head. It was a quarter swing, but she swung her head towards Tylee and goes, what? It was like saying, I'm better than you, Tylee. That's what narcissistic mothers do. They're so psychopathic that they want to hurt their offspring. So you're right. She is narcissistic, and Catherine, and she is a sociopath and a psycho. She's all. She's all. Yeah, it's terrible. So I wonder why. I wonder why the police on that day didn't. This is my idea, and this is off the cult again. But why didn't they take fingerprints of all of them? And like, I didn't hear. Did anyone hear? Like, I always thought if there was a murder, they would have just naturally asked everyone. I know that people could be refused if they haven't been arrested, but most people that aren't guilty wouldn't really mind giving their fingerprints. But they didn't fingerprint anyone. They didn't do any of the stuff. I don't get it. Yes, I agree with you. I don't know how to say your name, but Melek, she overfed those children. Well, she overfed them, and she fed them fast foods. You know how they bragged about what a great mother she was? She fed them fast foods, and that's what it does. But, you know, they might have a propensity too, because there's a lot of families just to have that propensity to be overweight. But she obviously never got them help, especially Tylee. And poor Tylee being a beautiful teenager. Her mother should have been helping her instead of going to temples and having sex with somebody. I don't know. The guy starts with M. 3 times a day, I heard, she'd go to the temple. She's supposed to go, and that's giving him her allegiance. Oh, yeah. I like that one. Those female inmates are going to teach the beauty queen some hard lessons. I know. Yeah, what's Chad going to do? They both have paid attorneys. What's he using? His whole, whatever's left of that $430,000 on attorneys? You'd think, you know, right off the cuff, you'd think they'd get court-appointed attorneys. Yes, they did. They went heavy PR. Yes, big PR. Yeah. Oh, Lori wouldn't hurt her children, and oh, Lori's such a dear mother and giving. And yeah, Lori played a game when people, that's probably why the cameras had to be in her home. When Charles first married her, I've read this somewhere, this isn't hearsay. When Charles first married her, she was going through the divorce with Joe Ryan, and they were fighting for custody or whatever. And the judge ordered cameras in the common areas of her home. Now, that is crazy. I think Joe reported how crazy she gets. What does anyone think about the 4 to 5 years that Charles said in that body cam? He said, my wife has been losing it. You know, she's been mentally unstable for the past 4 or 5 years. What do you think they'll do with that? Right. Okay. Yeah. And some of those smaller towns, that the attorneys don't cost that much per hour. Like if you try to get an attorney in Boston, it's like, I don't know what it is today. I haven't hired an attorney in Boston for a long time, but maybe $600-700 an hour. And then you go to a smaller town and they're like $150-200 an hour. So yes, you're right. He might have, they might be quite cheap up in, or cheaper. They're never cheap. Okay, the case is worldwide. His little $400,000 would never cover his paid attorney. They end up with the court appointed. Do you think once it's found out if Tammy was murdered by Chad, the insurance company will take that money? Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, but good luck to them to get it. Yeah, good luck if they get it, right? They'll never get it. Was he going to make 17 cents a day so he can buy his Doritos? Hey, take a guess. This is a good one to ask everyone. Put on the chat how much weight you think he's lost. Because I drew a picture of him. Now it doesn't even resemble him, sort of, because he's lost so much weight. Now I'm going to have to draw another one. I just sketched one in pencil. 20 pounds? That's it? Oh, good. 50 kg. I can't figure that out. Yeah. What's 50 kg translated? Oh, that's what Sedora 5. That's what I always was afraid of. When I saw kids, you're going to think this is awful. I saw kids when I was a teenager in the high school and junior high bathrooms, and they'd be shooting up. And I saw them smacking the whatever it's called, the needle. They'd smack it. And I'd ask them once, I said, what are you doing that for? Because it was commonplace in my high school, especially in my junior high. But anyways, I'd say, what are you doing? And that's what they said. If I get air, it'll kill me. So could they have killed her that way? 50, 60 pounds? Yeah. A dye injection? But what about just air? How could that show up? And could that be the way that they killed Alex? Maybe they made Alex run around the block a couple of times. So guys, this is the deal. We got to find a way to reach out. I got all kinds of plans. No, don't follow me because I'll be building all these plans. I got to implement them. I can't just build them. So 1, we need to have a Charles Vallow Day, and that include his children. But we need to have it more because we need to find a way to really make sure people understand that men don't get the services that are needed when they're in desperate need. And this is the perfect case because, of course, 110 pounds. He could have, I don't know. Men need help just like women. Because if he had an advocate or more, if he had different advocates from different agencies, then they would have been suggesting every time he made contact with her, they would be suggesting, not that they could control him, but they would be suggesting for him to do things to keep himself and his children safe. So he missed out on that. Number 2, so that's one thing we got to do is find a Charles Vallow Day, whether that's July 11th, the day he got murdered, and honor him. It has to be a memorial day for Charles Vallow and his children. The other thing is to educate the cult, to maybe make more YouTube people can make more videos on cults and how subtle the conditioning is. You know, it's very, very subtle conditioning usually. It's not usually overt. That's why when Charles was saying all the zombies and Ned Schneider and all that to the police, they were looking at him like, oh, okay, I've never heard of any. And he said about the saint or someone, some saint that Lori had to go to the temple 3 times a day for. The cop had never heard of anything like this. So he really didn't take any of it as serious. He took it as it was stupid. That's the way I feel. He just took it. Oh, there are a lot of activists, but we need specific activists on YouTube. We can't just have people who, like what I'm doing right now, is I'm kind of all over the place, from the cult to this to that. No, we got to have a workshop YouTube where everyone comes in, and I don't know how to form that or anything, but on YouTube, that's what if it was the old days, I know how to form groups and how to get people together to sit in the same rooms and to develop plans of action and to implement those plans and to bring those plans before the legislature or the regulatory process, through the regulatory process, or to the governor's office. I can do all of that stuff. I've done it in my past. I've always been an activist, but it's been hands-on. It's been grassroots. This is totally different for me to be talking to you. I don't know what you look like. I can't really communicate with you. Fluid communication, all that. But we need to cultivate that. We need to get a group together specifically with the charge to infiltrate the same cult that Lori and Chad and whomever was infiltrating. And I don't know, I'm worried about his 5 kids. How many of you here think his 5 grown adult kids are in a cult? Yeah, I agree with you, Malak. Extreme infiltrating. It has to be done just like they do it. Has to be done smoothly. You can't go in, busting everybody up. You got to go in very smooth. You got to come in the same, use their tactics, not theirs, but the people affected by the cult masterminds. You got to do reverse psychology and use it back onto the people to get them to go for help. Because, come on, guys, does Melanie Gibb need help? Do you think she needs help to get straightened out, to get her constitution, her own personal constitution? She's been, yeah. Yeah, Malak, yeah, I can understand that. And what would bother them? Oh, that's a dumb question. I just answered my own question. What would bother them? What would bother a cult if you came in and tried to disassemble them? See, Lori and Chad were into extermination. They weren't into, separating, and they were into extermination. Can you imagine if that woman over in Hawaii, April, that was it Dateline or 48 Hours, the one that was a friend of Lori's, and Lori came to her and said, you can be one of the 144,000, so come with me, but you got to leave your 2 sons. Can you imagine what they would have done to her 2 sons if April showed up in Rexburg with her 2 boys in tow? What they would have done to those 2 boys? Lucky April said, no, this is outlandish. April said no. Yeah, April better keep saying no. Yes, I do too, Snickers fan. I think she was genuine, and I think she was very easily led. I think she's as supple as you can get. Yeah, she's this, and I think she doesn't read people well either. She does, like, there's some people that can like read your mannerisms and stuff and read your eye movements. I don't think she had any insight to reading people, because they don't have to say things a lot of the times. Don't most of you get your messages by people's body language? You know, I think she couldn't read people. She's been so programmed, so overly programmed, she's lost that ability. Where did you hear that, Mellet? Because I read Zach's letter about Pulowski yesterday. I did a video on where Zach Cox told the, I think it was it was in Phoenix area. It was the newspaper or news station in Phoenix area. He did a tweet. Zach tweeted that his cousin Melanie Pulowski was the biggest liar ever, that she is extremely inundated into this particular cult, and that everything she says is a lie, and that she knew where the children were. He didn't say this yesterday on his Twitter. Is that what I say? I don't say he tweeted. Yeah, on his Twitter. Yeah, I guess. I don't have a Twitter. And I don't have a tweeter either. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, he said something in response to the article, because it was during their media blitz when the family came out, you know, marching one by one, telling the world that we're all wrong, that Lori's the perfect mother. And I could just see Janice laughing and laughing, like, oh no, my daughter wouldn't do that. It's like, why are you laughing? That's nothing to laugh about. But yeah, he came out in a response to one of the articles written, and he put his message with it. And he said, Melanie Pulowski is one of them. She's thickly involved in the cult, and that she knows where the children are. I think they all knew where the children were. How many think that Summer, Janice, Melanie, of course Alex, but he's dead, at least those four knew where the kids were? Does anyone have any feeling on that they knew where they were and they were just doing the cover up? Yes, men aren't taken seriously. 100%. That happens way too much. Yeah, you believe they covered up? Yeah, and that's why. Because listen, Nisi, if they weren't covering up, they wouldn't have had to get their story straight. So they wouldn't have sounded all alike. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what is this, a press release? And we're all reading the same press release from different people? That's what they seem like. No, you have, each one sounded exactly the same. So you knew it was fake. Oh, did they really? Oh, yeah, I did see that about a search at Janice's house after the 40. I wonder what they were looking for. There must have been something, she said, right? Because why would it or maybe the reporter who did noticed something in the house, right? Was the interview done at her house? Does anyone know? Sometimes they do them right at the house. Yes, so robotic in their responses. Yes, I know. Charles, Tylee, and JJ. That's why I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to do any videos. If I do any more videos, I'm not going to do any about the death of the kids. the details. That's someplace I just can't go talk about autopsies and, different mindsets on what might have happened. Who said that? A ceremonial burning. Is there any ceremonial? Oh, you mean the bonfires out at Chad's house? Is that what you... See, I can't read every message that comes through, so I missed the conversation. But am I reading this right? That they buried... I know I was meaning for his kids to not know they were buried in the backyard. They must have known something as soon as they saw everything in the news. Enforcement thought Charles should man up. You're right. They did not take him serious. No, they didn't. They were even strong-arming him about the purse. The way the officer called him and said, unless you want to be arrested. But she had $35,000 of his truck, his keys to his house, and they never strong-armed her. They never said to her, give him back his keys to the house. He has the right to have the keys to the house. They never even went there, but they strong-armed him on the phone. They called him up. I'm sure everyone else heard it. Oh, I like that, Rebel Rose. I think we need to celebrate their lives and know that they don't have to be with Chad and Lori. Are you talking about the kids, Rebel, or are you talking about the cult? Or both? Like, they might be all the same. And her storage unit was her memorial. Oh, I want to tell you, Madison, what gave me hope. What gave me hope was seeing the children's photo albums when they were young in that storage unit. That gave me hope. Because I'm thinking, okay, so she didn't throw away her kids' baby pictures. So maybe that means they mean something to her. And the weirdest thing that gave me hope, I had it from day one. Tylee was supposedly missing around September 8th, never seen again. And JJ, September 23rd. I thought in my mind that the reason why JJ was missing on the 23rd is Tylee had asked her mom, called up her mom and said, hey, Mom, I'm missing my brother because I love him to death. Can you bring him to wherever she was? Whether it was, as they were saying, maybe a bunker or some hidden cult member's house so that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, why was it September 23rd, the day before Tylee's birthday? I said, oh, Tylee wants to see her brother. So she's saying, Mom, you better bring him. That's what I had my hope, that they were alive. Oh, don't say that, Patty in pink. Oh my God. The same as Charles, huh? And does everyone think it was Alex? It doesn't matter. They're all going to get life because it's conspiracy. They were all in it. They're all going to get life. Do you think it was Alex? Yes, she left all the kids' stuff in the storage unit. She stopped paying the rent in January, yes. And the owners let the media, the East Idaho News and the police come and ransack it. Patty and Pink, they drugged the kids, and I think they shot Tylee. Oh, but the way they sound, the way that they said it was so egregious yesterday, guys. I'm thinking it's going to be a little worse than just one shot. I don't know. They said there was two. They said egregious and something else. That one of the bodies wasn't in great shape at all. Oh, his heart should have given out a long time ago before he started murdering Charles Vallow. Yeah, he was so relaxed after that murder. They all were. And Summer Shitlet said on that 48 Hours interview that she was the one that pushed Alex to go. I believe her. I think sometimes they do tell the truth. I believe her. She said, get over there with your gun and shoot Charles. And we'll be there tomorrow night and we'll split the $1 million that they thought they were going to get. No, Patty and Pink. No. Yeah, Rusty Knight. I'm thinking they dismembered one of them. Poured concrete in a hole. Yeah, someone said that they were going to put he was trying to buy a mobile home. They thought they were going to put the concrete or the cement or whatever for the foundation of the mobile home on top of them. You think Charles knew what was going on? Oh, yeah. Charles was getting close. I think he was seeing the activity of the cult in their thinking and how outlandish it was. I saw a truck there. I'm not sure if that was Alex's truck at Yellowstone. I did see a truck there because they showed a picture of them like on one of those where you pull off like to sightsee. Yeah, I think there was a truck. Why is that important? Is there any? The Yellowstone? Alex had a gray truck. Ah, Tina. Oh, no. Does everyone think Lori was involved with the actual killing? This is awful to say, but for some reason, I think she could do it. Yeah, Jackie. Oh, wow. Evan. Right. Yes. Yeah, I do too. A mastermind of evil, Lori Daybell. I don't mistake anymore. I used to always say Lori Vallow, and I don't know. Ever since I've been saying Lori Daybell. So I hope I continue on that track because I know that it really is disturbing to Kay and Larry. Oh my golly. Yes, I believe you, Rusty. She's a serial killer. Oh, I believe it. I believe that Joe Ryan was murdered by I think that was the real. If she had a recent start, I think it was Joe Ryan. When he was found, he had been in his apartment for weeks. Who's that? Rebel Rose wants 10 minutes with him. Does anyone live up in that area? You guys know I'm here in Florida, but does anyone live up there? Because see, I've had these like old grassroots ideas of writing poster boards and putting signs everywhere. And yes, Catherine, he was dead before he was dead. To her, he was devoid of any humanness at that point when she thought he was Ned Schneider. It was no longer human anymore to her, because she's. But I don't know who's seen my other video or listened to my other video, but I started making them about last Wednesday, and I want to tell you that one of my videos, I had a hard time with it because for some reason it kept going offline or something. I don't know, but it wouldn't do what it was supposed to do. But there's all kinds of wrongs here. The first wrong is he should have had support. Charles Vallow needed society support, just like we have society support for women. All women. No, we did a study once years ago. We made little pamphlets, and we had a 1-800 number on it, and we put the pamphlets in men's restrooms. Okay? They would take them out. Like let's say the janitor or the owner of the business, or they would take them out. Like let's say we left a stack of 25 pamphlets describing violence towards men. People would take them, they'd throw them in the dump. Like I could leave, let's say I left a stack of 25 at let's say a Denny's restaurant, just to use that for an example. And then a half an hour, I'd go back later and they'd be in the dump. Yeah, people always threw them out. Because I'm going to tell you, there's a major fight on the highest level about funding and male victims, because once the higher ups think that there can be a male victim, then it squashes all of the lower level agencies' ability just to choose women, and they don't want to do that. I think that Alex and Lori did first kill on Tylee. I think old Chad showed up after the fact to collect. Yeah. Oh, Frozen. You guys get some ideas. I'm glad I'm not into murder mysteries. I just get it. Don't serial killers try to maintain their targets as less than human or inhuman to help them kill? I guess that's what I've heard. SMH 9000. Yeah, I've heard that. Looking on that guy. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Carla Homolka, the first person she ever killed, she's a serial killer. The first person she ever killed was her sister, so that her husband could have sex with her. They didn't mean to do it. I mean, their objective was just to subdue her with some chloroform, something like that, something they put over her nose, because Carla worked in a veterinarian hospital and she had access to anesthesia. So they took a cloth and put it over. Her name was Tammy. Oh my golly, coincidence. They put it over Tammy's mouth and nose, and they would just want to subdue her, and they both had sex with her. the sister and the brother. I mean, the husband. And she never woke back up. Yes. So this reminds me of them. It reminds me of, they got worse and worse. Once they killed Tammy, they thought they could kill more. Like it came so much easier for them. So yes, it's like once they killed Charles, they were golden. They were on, some kind of whack out path. But yes, Kala Homolka is running around this world right now. Last time I knew, she was in Canada. And she was actually volunteering for a primary school up there. And some parents caught wind of who she was. And they made a stink, God bless. And she doesn't work there anymore. I mean, it was a volunteer position. It wasn't I don't think it was a paid position. Yeah. Yeah, Jojo, but the thing is if Alex and Tammy, I mean, Brandon are the murderer. If Alex tried to murder Brandon and Tammy, and he was successful with Tammy, doesn't just the conspiracy of it all keep it? I mean, who cares if he was the shooter? I mean, at the end of the day, they're all dead. It was all of their plans. Yes, men need support against abuse too. This is a prime example, and I did do the video on it. I did do the domestic violence agencies. See, when she went in for that intake at Community Bridges, that's when they should have handed him the pamphlets I used to hand out. That's when he should have gotten a pamphlet. And also, we used to make lists of agencies that you could get different types of services from. So he should have gotten a community list too. But the very serious thing that he missed out on is no advocate ever would have let him go into that home. I don't care if Lori had stolen $1 million and he was chasing her through that house. An advocate would have told him never to go in. You noticed he didn't get killed outside. You noticed that he was in just slightly past the foyer area. He wasn't deep into the house. That's why when Kay Woodcock and Larry say he was ambushed, 100%. They did it in cold blood. And then tell me if everyone else agrees with this, that they had to hush Tylee. Nice rested night. A criminal, oh, nice. I'd like that job. I'd like to be a criminal profiler. When children who receive disability turn the age of 18, the check automatically gets given to the children. And I think Lori was also wanting Kylie's check to be kept for Lori. Oh, I think Lori also wanted, Tylee's check to be kept for Lori. Just another, yes, all of it. Yes. You're right, it goes to the child until they're out of college. And if they're disabled, it's lifelong. If, like JJ, if he was considered disabled, he'll get a SSI check for the rest of his life. Yes, me too. Rebel Rose, exactly what I thought. I kept thinking, I love teenagers. They're a pain in the, you know what? And because they are, I love them to death. Because I know they have so many hardships, Yes, I love teenagers. I'm not sure about JJ because I've never lived with someone with his issues, but he sounded delightful. He just sounded like, yeah, you just have to live. Open the home to accommodate him. Oh. Well, he better profile Chad and Lori, because I really don't. I think Lori killed Joe Ryan. That's just, it doesn't, it's just a thought. I have no way to base that on, but I always thought that. And the way he died and the way no one reported him. Yeah, that would be great, Rusted. Oh, Rebel, you were smart. What actual, I know that she's so cunning. She was trying to sell it on Craigslist. And the dog trainer that sold it to her got wind of it and called her up. She was trying to make, Charles was dead. So I don't know what the dog would have cost. Couple of thousand, maybe. I was pre-med, pre-law, Central Michigan University, 5 years of reading. Oh. Well, that's good. It brings you back to your education and not back to some traumatic event. That's the problem, is the grandparents. This is so traumatic. I just can't imagine. It's just like Chris Watts' case where he murdered the 2 girls and the baby Nico, and what the Ruseks had to go through. Do you know, did everyone see that the Daybells, the parents of Chad, apologized and wrote a beautiful letter to the public that they're so sorry for everything? I wish the Watts had done that. They never did. That's all they said, is their son didn't do it. Yes, they're hard work. Wow. Yes, any one of us. Yes, Rebel Rose, I'm reading back because I'm seeing what I missed. Any one of us would have taken those kids. If anyone called me today and said, these kids need a home and maybe it'd just be temporary, I'd take them. Yes, without question. I've had, my granddaughter has had many kids around. So I think it's about that time. I've been on for like 107. I can't believe I can talk. Yeah, I can believe it. But anyways, yeah, I think we need to, someone says it's very dangerous to penetrate the cult. But how about this? We penetrate the cult by educating them that the fear that the people live under isn't true. The fear, whatever. Look at Melanie Gibbs. She was afraid to go to the cops. I would have been there day one. Yeah, it's too crazy for me. I don't understand. Has anyone in this chat lived around? I know that there's families that make up cults, but has anyone been around a real cult, not just a whack out family cult? This could be exactly what it is. This could be just a family cult. And who thinks the 5 kids? Does anyone know anything about those 5 adult children that Chad has? don't see anything. We need to pray for them. Yes. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you coming. I'm so glad for the first time that I got to see. The chat's always been there, but I've never been able to see it. And those are my two missions. I want to not infiltrate them in the sense of infiltrating them secretly and all that. I'd like to infiltrate them with education. And I think this story, this terrible happening, gives us that segue to let us know that to let them know that we understand how things can go wrong and how the thinking can obviously not be right. Because there's no way that Melanie Gibb had right thinking at all. Never, not in a day. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate my first chat. This has been nice. And let me know, message me or comment below. I guess that's what people say. They say comment below and like and subscribe and share out. I want the 1,000 subscribers, because I don't know if you guys know, once you reach 1,000, you can do it off your mobile phone. Prior to that, if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, I have to be pinned down by a laptop. That's what I'm on right now. So, yeah. So, yes, let's pray for justice for JJ, Tylee, Charles, and Tammy. Thank you for that, Donna. Let's pray that there is no more that we find out about. That's what I'm worried about. That there isn't more of this that we're never known about. And let's pray that we can make some changes over in that general community and try to undo some of the destruction that Chad and Lori has done, and somehow come up with a Charles Vallow Day so that we can honor an honorable man the way he should have been honored all the time. So thank you very much, beautiful people. You know it's ugly out there, so be very safe. And you take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.